It's a wet and windy day. I want to finish this chapter 6 entitled Sea Urchin of the book Return to Elysium. It is a Joan Grant far memory book, and she lives on Elysium now. And she has a mentor called Asclepius. Anyway, she was collecting sea urchins, and we are now coming to the last part of this chapter. It was very easy. I displayed a remarkable ignorance of the most elementary botanical principles. It was obvious that I was trying pathetically hard, yet no precious seedling was safe from me. Time after time it wilted on the rubbish heap because poor stupid Narcissus had mistaken it for a noxious weed. I always asked to be given another chance. I think it was some rare bulbs from Macedonia which I sent into the kitchen instead of onions. That at last convinced Asclepius that I could no longer be useful employed in the garden. I was careful to conceal my elation, and you may remember I sulked in my room for 2 days after he refused to let me help him any more. Wasn't it very dull? Sulking alone, I mean. Nothing is dull, Lucina. It is a part of a careful design which is emerging on the loom provided by your less knowledgeable companions. Don't you respect Asclepius at all? But of course, he sounded genuinely shocked. If I did not hold him in real and sincere admiration, surely I should not let him do all my important thinking for me. I may say that I revere Asclepius. He has given me the greatest of all boons. I am spared the painful necessity of making any decisions for myself. As I had not brought a hair ribbon with me, Narcissus made me a wreath of sea pinks before he went back to the house. There's no point in us both missing a meal, he said frankly, but you must stay out until sunset or later. Still, if you are not too bored, if you let them think you lost your way in the dark, it will make your entrance more effective. I shall prepare the stage for you by feigned anxiety. I shall look such a fool. I can't pretend to be lost in Elysium. You will never learn to be clever until you are willing to appear foolish. I do not expect you to believe in me until I have proved that I know what I'm talking about. So I will make a bargain. If you do not get your own way and a better supper than the rest of us, I will collect 100 urchins without wearing gloves, and you can sit and laugh at me. Very well, I said grudgingly, but if Epicurus only grumbles because I didn't bring the first course in time, you will have to find something for me to eat. Good. I already observe a distinct improvement. Before your little talk, you would have been perfectly content to gnaw a chicken leg in the kitchen. I watched him climb the steep path from the east beach and disappear among the pines. Had he really taught me something very important, or was it only an elaborate joke? It was true that I regarded them as rivals. Only when I felt no need to challenge their strengths could I afford to love them. When I discovered that Agamemnon was afraid, so afraid that he was much more vulnerable than myself, I no longer had to torment him with spiders. I had never dared to love Epicurus until I saw him cry. I had despised Narcissus until today, when I discovered he would have been so much happier as a woman. One could never forget it. They said too often that women were the inferior sex, that I enjoyed a special privilege in being accepted as an equal. If this were true, why did they have to shout it so loud? Suddenly I realized that everyone in Elysium was afraid of women, the women on whom they had once been utterly dependent. The mother, the nurse, perhaps even the wife, who might have loved them enough to give them real security. Surely it was obvious. Why were there no female servants in Elysium? Because they would not have been sufficiently impressed by their master's importance. Why was Agamemnon here? Because his mother had nearly destroyed her son as well as her husband. Why did the father of Epicurus return to childhood? because the woman who had been the main source of his life had deserted him, and so he had tried to return to the security of the infant. Euripides saw himself not as the hero, but as the heroine of his dramas. Why? Because he knew that only a goddess could tolerate the amorous antics of Zeus. And Asclepius? My mother died because she loved my father more than the philosopher or her child. Asclepius said she had been destroyed by faith in false gods, that she had no more substance than ashes caught by the wind. But was she not still more powerful than the philosopher, who had created Elysium as a sanctuary in which to hide from the love of women? Perhaps he really wanted me to be a philosopher, thinking it would protect me from the harsh light of emotion, thinking it would save him from being hurt through me. Or was I to disillusion his pupils, so that they would be invulnerable to women when they were sent back into the world? Was I to be used as a demonstration that female intuition can be explained in material terms? Were they to be told I was unique amongst my kind, knowing I should still be an object of affectionate contempt, who might be with impunity be indulged and patronized, but never allowed to become the sun in a lover's sky? Had I been warned in time by Narcissus that I should throw away my weapons, destroy my heritage, if I still tried to be better than man instead of a more subtle woman? Soliloquy becomes unsatisfactory when a cold wind is blowing from the sea, when your hand is aching and your belly insists that it is time for you to get something to eat. I watched the sun, a scarlet seal on the grey parchment of the sky, slowly erased by the horizon. I picked up the basket and found my right leg had gone to sleep. It felt as though it was being attacked by the ghosts of sea urchins. Even a hunk of cheese would be welcome, and I could get warm even if there was no hot water for a bath. But I found that Narcissus had not overrated his skill in strategy. Epicurus brought me my supper in bed: red mullet cooked with wine and olives, a salad brisk with radishes, a sweet dish he had composed for me, shards of almonds in smooth cream under a coverlet of crystallized violets. So this was the end of chapter 6, and chapter 7 is entitled Amphora. It's very small writing. Have a good Thursday.